that we've helped New Leaf out with its shortage, we're going to grab a unit of Zalantar for our friend the Sensate, and then go and visit our trading post and build the caravans. Once these caravans are built, I don't want to move them. And I don't really want to come back here because enemies spawn a lot back here, and the types of enemies that do spawn are very good at killing caravans. So we're just going to make a beeline out of here and never come back, so that we're never on screen, so the caravans never encounter anything. And I'm actually going to run up to these trolls and all these enemies and just bribe them out of the way. On our way out, I ran into this onyx cave. There's an interesting door in here which requires a darkness spell in order to open it. So I'm going to go in. This is the onyx door I'm talking about. And essentially, you walk up to it, you read the inscription, and it gives you the option to cast darkness on the door. So I'm going to buff up and then before opening the door. And we cast darkness on the door through the dialogue option. And we run across these Dark Moon acolytes. And one of them runs up to you, and, well, they attack you. Oh, that's why he's not shooting. He's out of ammo. I thought something funny was going on there. And there are more of them up here. These are Sharans. This Shar is the goddess of darkness. And of course they're evil. But, you know, hey. And that's all there is to it. Well, not quite. There is one other person in here who is, well, he's interesting. Use the chime of opening, so I get XP for that. And we find Rib Smasher. Yes, he smashes ribs. And he has an interesting name. And he laughs a lot. And he'll join your party. He's not super useful. He has an interesting belt, though. And let's see if our bard can use it. Again, it's bonus hit points and bonus strength, so fairly nice item. Other than that, I'm just going to send him back to the keep, clean up, and see you back on the map. Back on the map, we're just going to follow around the base of this big mountain here. And there's another cave up at the top of the mountain, which we can't get to. There is no way to get there from here. We will get there much later. Well, not much later. We're actually getting pretty close, but a while yet. There's another cave here at the base of the mountain, and all it has is a bunch of gnolls. And let's just say at this point, gnolls are not a very challenging set of enemies. And I'll clean up and be back on the map. Back to exploring. There's really not that much of great interest back up here. We have all of our Arcane Nexus things, so that's really the main thing we need to find. This Forgotten Ruin. And this ruin has a golem in it. A single iron golem, and he doesn't even use the breath attack. So Not much of an area. There are some recipes here, though. It has the recipes for all the greater resistance rings, which I already have a couple of, actually. It also has these forgetful robes, which are not very useful. Heading southwest from where we were, we also run into a Malerite Hermit's Cave, which is down just southeast of Guthaladram, where we were fighting off the undead at Port Lac. And the Malerite Hermit, of course, has some dire bears to defend himself with. But he goes down pretty fast. He has a Great Axe +3 and some Scale Mail +3, which are not super important, though it is worth noting I can't make +3 weapons yet, so if you actually had a Great Axe user, that would be a good find. I searched the rest of the northwest area there, and there's nothing new. This old man wants some history item that I don't have, and it's apparently a part of a quest that I've never actually found. And so I'm just going to go into Neverwinter, hand in my quests. When we hand in the last one of these Arcane Nexus data pieces, we get the feat Master Researcher, which gives a spellcraft bonus. And he says, well, he just gives us another one of these Than learning scrolls, which I guess are nice enough. With just those learning scrolls there, I have almost enough to get another level, but I'm not going to do that just yet. The Gnoll now has everything he's ever going to sell, so let's take a look at his inventory. One important item that's available is these bracers of armor +8 and +7, which are much better than anything you're going to find or be able to enchant at any point in the game, really. So we'll probably buy both of those. He also has a big collection of spell scrolls, which I'm going to buy. I've been already buying quite a lot of, just so that my mage has spells to cast. But you can also buy them just for use as scrolls, especially the higher level, the level 9 ones like Gate or something, where you don't have access to it, but being able to cast it is still nice. He also has recipes for a Belt of Agility +6, Boots of Striding +6, Cloak of Resistance +4, and the Ring of Major Resistance that we already have. Parry out of Wisdom +6, I'll pick up the recipe. I found one randomly on a map encounter, so I'm not actually going to make one. So we have Zalantar for Phineas the Sensei. And other than a lot of scrolls, I didn't actually buy anything on top of those two sets of bracers of armor. And we can hand in our quest for the Fated Winds are apparently doing some stuff that is not good, and there's a question of whether they were behind the shortage. So we're not going to trigger the next event just yet, because it essentially sets things in motion with the plot, and I don't want to do that just yet. I want to clean up all the other random stuff on the Sword Coast. There isn't that much left to do on the Sword Coast. We have the Shadow Cult to clear out. That's Kelgar's quest. And there are maybe 3 or 4 more areas, none of them very long, out in the central eastern part of the Sword Coast. After that, there's just a little bit more back in near the jungles of Chult, and the game's over. So we're maybe 3/4 of the way through. Let's go deal with this Shadow Cult. It's really fairly straightforward. It's just another undead area, more or less. And it's down here, not all the way to West Harbor, but once he tells you about it, it shows up on your map. And so, let's get to it. Not really much to say about these guys. We've been fighting similar enemies for quite some time. Those Shadow Mastiffs have a howl attack which can cause fear, but they didn't use it, so... And as you come into this area, you get assaulted by dire rats. You know, we're, what, character level 13 by now? It's going to take more than a couple of rats to cause any sort of trouble for us. By this point in the game, I have so much money and so much income that I'm not going to bother looting everything anymore. I'll only pick up things that are interesting for some reason. And there's a trap here. And back behind this door is the main boss of the area, so I'm going to cast a couple more buffs and be right back. And away we go. These Shadow Priests are probably sort of deja vu all over again if you've played the first game. Like the Yuan-Ti Guardians, these vampires are heavily buffed, and they're actually fairly hard to hit. So I'll clean up and meet you back on the map. While we're down south, I'm going to pick up a piece of adamantine from Leylon for our sensate friend, as well as a harvest mead, same reason. Since we're at West Harbor anyways, I'm going to buy up a lot of adamantine arrows from Tarmus just to clear out my inventory of the old basic arrows. Now that we've come back to West Harbor as well, Goodwife Arna has a new quest for us, and there's a cult involved, and, well, we'll just have to go break up the cult. She also has another, well, sort of quest, where she tells you about this half-drow I mentioned earlier, that's another potential party member. And, you know, you just go over and talk to him. And he wants to follow in the footsteps of Amon Jero, for some reason, because Jero's, you know, lost his soul. So, you can tell him to go to Crossroad Keep, and you'll meet up with him there, and then he'll join your party. And the cult is just to the east, but we don't have time for it today, so next time on Let's Play Storm of Zehir, Hunting the Cult.